Hey, startup survival. Why do you carry a knife? That's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked. This is not a question I get asked very often because honestly, a lot of people don't know that I carry a knife. I'm pretty careful about busting it out in front of sheeple or people that might be offended. Today I'm carrying the Endura actually, and it came in very useful. I did use this knife today quite a lot, so I'm pretty happy I had that. But the fact that we have to answer that question is really indicative of how far we've drifted from our ancestors and how much we've forgotten about human history. If you think about it, the earliest tools of our ancestors, of ancient man, were cutting tools and fire. If not for those two discoveries, we would not be where we are today. We wouldn't have iPhones and all this other stuff. The fact is, we don't depend upon fire and cutting tools anymore. The necessities of survival are provided to us. We have internal heat, we've got, the meat comes sliced up for us already, and so on and so forth, right? So people have honestly forgotten the basics, like why would anyone need to carry a cutting tool? If you go and sit in an office all day or something like that, which I do, you don't need a knife, really. So to me, the question is not why would you carry a knife, it's why would you not carry a knife? Knowing everything that we do about human history, and a knife just has so many different uses, like I'll get into a couple of those, but I just think it's so useful. It's like an elegant, useful tool that I think every person should carry, if they have the option, of course, legally. People like myself, we place a high value on self-reliance. I guess I would technically classify myself as a prepper, and I'm going to diverge from the fact that some people actually need a knife for work. I should have brought that up more early, but you might have a job like on a farm or in construction or something like that, where having a knife is not a luxury or an option. It's absolutely essential for whatever it is you do every day. So I think that's totally cool. Not to mention people in law enforcement, in the military, things like that. You need a knife for your daily tasks, and I think that's totally cool. Those people don't really need to explain themselves. It's more common sense, right? But I represent a class of people that doesn't need to carry a knife in the sense that my work demands it. So therefore I need another explanation. And let me preface this by saying it's my legal right to carry a knife in Canada. I don't feel the need to explain it to anyone. But if I do get asked, I want to be a good representative of the knife carrying community and just sort of enlighten people, because I also think people are like a little bit asleep when it comes to self-reliance and that sort of thing. It's just the way we've drifted through our evolution. But anyways, why do I carry a knife? Startup survival, me. It's basically because I like to be prepared, within reason. You can't carry stuff every day to anticipate every possible scenario. But there's some generic things that you can be prepared for. For example, cutting tasks, right? Like that's, you don't need to prepare for like everything in the world, but that the chances are you might have to cut something throughout the course of your day. So yeah, that's number one, is just unexpected chores, okay? Like opening letters, opening packages, cutting up cardboard boxes. Maybe you have to cut some string or something like that. Cutting up some fruit maybe for lunch or whatever, some food prep. Those are sort of like the full realm, I would say, more or less, of my day-to-day cutting tasks. I don't do all of that every day. Once in a while I do. It's unexpected, but I like to have a knife just in case, And there's lots of things I would add to that list that I could not even think of right now, unexpected things, just maybe. Number two is for cool factor or fun, I just like knives. I think they're really cool. I collect knives, I'm trying to sort of chill out with the knife collecting because I've started to realize that I don't honestly have enough time to spend with all my knives. I think creating memories with your fun tools is part of it, right? Like part of the reason why we collect knives. I don't want to be one of these people that just has a whole bunch of knives, 80% of which you never carry, and your rotation has drifted down to 2 or 3 really nice knives. So why do you have all the other ones, like they're just sitting there. So anyway, long story short, I'm trying to scale back the knife collecting and scale up the knife usage and the knife carrying. But I mean, a lot of my knives were purchased along the journey, just experimenting and figuring out what I like. Okay, so last but not least is for defensive purposes. And let me just say, this is going to be a controversial section of why to carry a knife, but a lot of people talk about this, right? So I believe in Canada, not being a lawyer, but somebody who's read some laws and stuff like that along the lines of knife carrying, I'm fairly certain that it is illegal to carry a knife in Canada for self-defense. So if you get stopped by like a police officer or something like that, not necessarily for carrying a knife, but they discover that you have it and they say, hey, why are you carrying this? If you express it in the earlier terms that I've mentioned here, like it's for utility, it's for, cutting up boxes or for my job or something, no problem, it's all good. If you say it's a weapon for self-defense, you're going to lose the knife big time. And I mean, you might even get in more trouble than that. You're not allowed to carry weapons for self-defense in Canada. So that's one of those things that, especially Americans would probably get really jacked up about. And we may see some comments on this video along the lines of, freedom and this sort of thing. I don't think weapons and freedom are the same thing, and that's sort of a bigger topic. But here's where I stand with it, okay? Like, I'm not going to tell people, other than this video, that I'm carrying a knife for self-defense. First and foremost, it is a tool for me. But here's the thing, right? I may encounter a situation where it's life or death. Like somebody's got a knife out and they're about to kill me, or somebody's breaking into my house, they've got a gun or something like that. I have no other options, or I'm being beaten within an inch of my life, and the only option I have to save my life is to use the knife. That's the only time I would ever use it. And it's this sort of levels of force, right? You're not going to shoot somebody because they come onto your property. You're going to shoot them because you have no other options. You've exhausted every other possibility, and that's the only thing left. Or you're going to die, or your family's going to die. So life and death, that is the only time I would use a knife in self-defense. And quite honestly, it doesn't even matter that it's a knife at that point. It could be anything. Anything could be turned into a weapon. A baseball bat, like a kitchen knife, a plate, a shovel, like there's a million different things. And I really think that the instrument at that point is sort of irrelevant. It's really a matter of, did you need to save your life by fatally injuring another person? And I really, really, really hope I never find out. But I mean, that's the only time. It's the will to survive, and that's all there is to it. I wouldn't use it I would not use that lightly. I think that using a knife for self-defense would be very traumatizing to the person it was used against, and also the person who uses it. I don't think you would ever be the same again, and I don't want to find out, okay? So I would never use that unless it was life or death. Okay, speaking of life or death, I'm going to close this video with the reason that motivated me to make it. On January 30th in Montreal, those of you who are Canadian may know this already, but Americans may not. So in Montreal, a woman died on January 30th. I believe it was like early in the morning, but I might be off on that. This was in the subway system. She was taking an escalator down into the subway system, and she was wearing a scarf because it's winter time, and in Montreal it's very cold. And the scarf got caught into the escalator somehow. The woman reached down to try to get the scarf out, and her hair got caught in the escalator as well. I guess she was a long-haired person, right? Anyways, without imagining the gory details, she died, she suffocated or she got strangled somehow, and she died on scene. People around were trying to help her, people saw this happening and they tried to save her, but they couldn't do it. So anyways, the first thing that came to my mind when I saw that incident, other than, oh my god, that's horrible, I support public transit. I personally don't use it to get to work because I can walk or bike, but I have commuted a lot on subways and whatnot in the past. So I mean, I sympathize. I've been in that situation. I've been on an escalator going down to the subway in the morning to go to work. So I know exactly how that feels. But I mean, the first thing that came to my mind, other than how horrible that was, is just, what if she had had a knife with her, what if she'd been able to cut the scarf or cut her hair, or what if somebody nearby had had a knife and they might have been able to, saw her hair off really quickly with a super sharp knife and save her life, emergency rescue people, like police, that's why they carry knives, to cut seat belts and things like that to get people out of life and death situations. And here we are back at the life and death thing again. So that was the thought that came into my mind. It's like, I wish that I'd been there with my knife and I could have helped that lady, And this goes back to the whole sheepdog concept that Nut and Fancy is always talking about, right? Most of us in this community, we mean well, like we can very easily be perceived as threatening because we might have a gun in the house or we might carry a knife or something like that. But I honestly think that most of us do mean well, and being prepared is being able to help people in need, help yourself, and just not depending on other people to save us, right? It's just doing our part. So that's basically my message is I totally believe in being prepared. Carrying a knife is part of that. I love knives because they're fun. And also I don't know what I'm going to need it for, right? It's not necessary for my work, but I like to have it. I'd be interested to see what other people have to say about this. I know there's a lot of knife people that watch my channel. Share your thoughts, share your reasons in the comments. Why do you carry a knife? Have you had to explain this to people in the past? And yeah. That's about it. Thanks a lot for watching, and have a great day.